I got it.
It was like make Gabby co-host. I did it on this screen, but it showed up over here.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna pop right in here. Welcome, Angela. Welcome, Rashida. Okay, so you guys are at how to batch your social media content. So we already did the plan. We'll talk about that in a second. But before we get in here, I want to introduce, of course, your host. Most of you know us, not all of you though, so welcome. So I'm Chryssy, the creative director, brand strategist over at Color Addict. That's my creative agency. Gabby here, she's at the top of my screen, anywhere on yours. She's the digital brand manager. She helps me manage all of my clients' accounts and a whole bunch of other stuff, including our accounts as well. So she knows this whole process. So part one was March 21st, was that, Gabby? It was March 24th or something like that. We did the plan and curate. So this is
31st.
how to plan 31st. Okay. It was March 31st. The recording is available. We'll share that in the chat in just a moment, but we talked about content pillars, macros versus micros, creating a marketing campaign and curating ideas. For this part, this is the execution piece. We're assuming that all that's been done. So if it hasn't, again, we'll share the link in just a moment. Today we're talking about content production, revisions and approvals, what that's like, scheduling and automations, as well as engagement and hashtag strategies. Okay. But first, again, if you attend any of my workshops, you know we got to get into some housekeeping. These are just kind of my ground rules that I share. Some of you haven't attended in a while. Welcome back. Get ready to participate. Be open to sharing. Stay muted unless you are speaking. Be aware of your surroundings. No naked people in the background. Stay present. And if you have questions, just unmute. It's perfectly fine. You can interrupt me. I'm okay with going with the flow. All right. So again, this is execution, not theory. Anything that I ever do, anything with Color Addict or Chryssy is always action focused, right? I'm never just going to present this grand idea or principle and then throw you on your own for you to figure it out yourself. Okay, so this is, again, execution. So we're going to start with a little Zoom warm up. I like to do this to get people knowing where the chat is because we're going to be relying on it. How much content do you consistently post? Notice the word is consistently post. All right, today, this is per week or per month or just in general. Yeah, Kwani is killing it on social media. She's laughing. I know she's one of our clients, y'all. She's laughing because she is killing it on social media. She's got help. So we got 4s, 3s. Okay, you're on the struggle bus? Oh no. We got some 4s. You need to post more, but you're consistent. That's great. Like Kwani is like A+ student. That's too funny. Well, if you don't know how you're doing, you can get a social media audit from us for free. So you can, Gabby's gonna put the link in there. If you want to sign up for that and just get an audit, you go right ahead, sign up. But again, we're gonna hop into the content for today. If you have not watched part 1, you have to go back and watch that first. You can still attend here today, but just understand that we're starting right where we left off, which is you have all the content, you know the ideas. If you're still struggling with ideas and curating and strategy, what to post, when to post, all that, we talked about that already. Go and watch the recording on YouTube. Okay, Gabby just put the link in the chat for that. So quick recap from part 1. We set or review. So let's just assume from this point on in the deck, we've set and reviewed our content pillars. We know what those things are. We have 3 or 4, great. We've created campaign objectives, check. We have selected our macros for the month, check. We have micro content, that's the actual pieces of content. Those are the topics, check. We added some holidays, some events to keep things fresh, check. And we curated content based on whatever post themes, and we finalized that content schedule. So we know when we're posting, what time we're posting, all of that. We're assuming all of this is done, okay? So before we get into this, I wanna ask you all, what does batching mean to you? This is kind of a question that Gabby and I were talking about when we were creating this. We just wonder if some of our clients even know what batching means, or I know you have some ideas. You can feel free to unmute or type it in the chat, whatever you're comfortable with. But I'm just curious what you guys think it is. Okay. So we got, Aquania says, saving time by doing it all at once. Kelly is saying, making all your content at one time. Beautiful. Zoe, create all content. Zoe, create all content for a period of time in one session. I like it. Angela says creating content in a bulk fashion all at once. Yeah, see, Gabby, you made me second guess myself. They know what this means. So Marcia says create content and scheduling it out. We know. Gabby made me check myself. We were like, should we call it batch? And Gabby's like, maybe people don't know what batch means. So we're good. We're good. I always like the gut check. You guys should do that with your clients as well. If you don't know if they know a certain term, just ask. Like, what does this mean to you? All right. So we're going to get into why content batching. Just a second. Move my stuff over. All right, so content batching, why you want to do it. Yes, you can make all your content at one time. You can have it scheduled out, great. But there's also other reasons why you need to be content batching. One, repetitive tasks allow you to build momentum, right? It allows you to create like a system and get a flow, right? And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. So think of like assembly lines, right? There's a reason why those things work and are very fluid and well, because you have one person doing the same thing over and over and over again. It also allows you to focus your creativity on one particular task. And I'm going to talk to you about because I believe that most of you guys, how you're currently content batching or attempting to is much different than what I'm talking about today. So the kind I'm talking about, which I'll elaborate on the different types, is really doing the same task over and over again, not the whole content. So in order to content batch, how can I explain this? In order to content batch, say you have 30 posts you want to batch. Right now, most of you are probably thinking, okay, you're going to sit down and create all those 30 posts. But there's a way that you can do it that helps you focus your energy on one particular thing. For example, writing copy first, write all the copy first, create all the graphics first, which we'll get into that in just a second. But this is a little bit different because sometimes when people say batching, they just literally mean creating posts over and over and over again until you're done. This is different, okay? It also avoids context switching, right? Which is literally a productivity killer, okay? The more, and use this across your entire business, okay? So if you are scheduling your week and there are certain things, like maybe you're doing video production, right? You're like Aquania and I who are getting crazy with reels and stuff. If you're recording on that day, record some other videos on that day that needs to be recorded. Just try to stay within the same task because you'll find that it moves a lot faster than like, okay, sit down, record some videos. Okay, now write some captions. Okay, now get on this client call. Okay, you're being pulled in all these different directions, which is making your brain switch way too often, which causes you to be less productive. Most importantly, the reason to content batch is to run your business and stop being a content creator. That's not any of your jobs here so far that I see, unless you are a content creator, good for you. But if you have an actual business that is not selling content or, out here like only creating content for the world to see, that's how you make your money, you should not be spending most of your time doing social media. Okay. That's one of the reasons why I do all the work that I do in social media, not because I love it and think it's so important, but because I know my clients focus on it. And I know that if I can automate it, streamline it, make it where it's easy for you to do, you will focus on running the actual business, which is the most important part. All right, so the process, again, so you're gonna write copy. If you're doing your own content, I recommend that you either have a business bestie, someone you trust, preferably someone in business, because if you ask a regular like consumer type of minded person to review copy or review graphics for a business, they're going to be like, oh, it's so pretty. They're not going to give you like tangible feedback that you can actually use to grow your business. It won't be constructive. So shameless plug, you can join Bossfish and post all your stuff in there and we'll give you feedback, which is my women's entrepreneur group. Or just find someone you can rely on, someone that you know that will rip things apart, say, hey, this is confusing, or ask them like, would they really click? Would they swipe through this post? You want to get feedback whenever you can. So 4 steps. You're going to write your copy, all the copy at once. I'm going to show you 2 different ways you can execute on this real shortly, but write all the copy. Then you're going to design all the graphics. Then you're going to write all the captions. Then you're going to schedule. The reason why this works much better than how you're currently doing it is because right now, let's say we got 2 posts to create. I'm going to keep it small. When you are writing the copy for that one and you go right into graphics, now you got this blank Canva or Illustrator Square staring at you and you're just like creative block. Okay, cool. You figured it out. And then you start Captions. And then when you go to the next one, you're starting that cycle all over again with that creative block, cursor blinking at you and like, okay, what can I do? You will find, guaranteed, I teach my team this. I've been doing this for years. We do content. Gabby can back me up on this. We do our content quarterly. Okay, we do not do monthly or weekly content. Our content is everything you see on our timeline right now. We did not last quarter, but the quarter before, I think is how it works. So this process really works. And the better you get at it, the more streamlined you can become and stop worrying about content, right? So again, the way you want to do this, those same 2 posts, you want to write that copy first, write the second copy for the next post, because you already know what you're posting. Because again, we got the topics already. We did that in part 1. So you want to write all the copy at once so that I guarantee you, right? If say you're doing 5 posts, number 3 is going to roll out of you so easy. You're gonna be like, am I a copywriter? Oh my gosh, this is so much easier, right? Gabby is someone who had her own system before, because she has other clients and stuff. She had her own system before, and copy is really not that hard. So Gabby, for example, she does all of our clients copy. And what'd you get it done in like 2 days? And how many posts? It had to be at least 40.
It was, about around 40 or so.
This process works because if you break it down, it'll get easier. You're kind of now just talking in long form versus having to start over with a whole nother creative process every time you do a post. So what questions do you guys have on this before I move forward on the 2 examples?
So when you say copy versus the captions, the copy is like any text in the graphics or video or...
Excuse me, I'm so glad you asked that because our clients always ask that. So copy is exactly the words that are inside of the graphics. We find that it's easier to write the caption once you have the whole graphic in front of you, because you'll be able to make little jokes about things. You'll be able to see kind of it moving and flowing. So the copy, so essentially when you start this, all you have is a title. Say the title says, how to do a kick-ass workshop, right? So the copy will be like slide 1, why your workshops suck. Slide 2, this is one thing you need to remember about your workshops. This is not. Slide 3, you're going to write the copy, the words that are actually going to go on the post. This also, guys, makes it very easy to outsource. So say you want to write your own copy, you can outsource the designs to any graphic designer, right? But the way you're currently doing social media, you need a content creator because they have to be able to do it from the beginning to end because it's disruptive in their flow if not. But if you write the copy first, the post copy is what we're talking about here. If you write that first, then anyone can do the graphics. That's a good question though. People always ask is that, I need to stop assuming people know, but post copy and caption is 2 different things. Caption is below the graphic. The post copy is what you're swiping through, right? The words you're engaging with. So we're assuming that these are not necessarily pictures of you, but more like informational, instructional type of post. Go ahead, Kelly.
Do you have a sample of what those 2 different things look like?
Yes, I do.
Awesome.
I'm going to pull up our kickoff deck, Gabby.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, that's a great question, Zoe. Gabby, make a note in the notes if we do this again to just put this in the slide deck. But we do this. So when we have new clients, we do this project kickoff. So Kwani has seen this before. Hold on 1 second, guys. Let this load up. And we explain kind of what it is here. Oh, just kidding, in the wrong one. This is for projects. Oh, too fast. So this is the post copy. The caption goes down here. So this is really important for carousels. It doesn't have to be carousels, so it could be like a quote. It could be a blog post. We call them blog post snippets, right? If you want to say a little bit more about the blog post. But this is the post copy.
That makes
Any other
way
questions?
more sense now. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions
I
on
have
this?
to say that I had it backwards.
Okay.
I thought the captions were the post copy. Okay. That's why my admin, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So the copy of the post. This is just kind of like, even when we're talking about websites and stuff, this is language that a lot of people don't know. Websites or copy, content. People always ask those questions. So when we're doing new projects, you might have seen on the other deck that I just had, it had like terms you should know. So we should definitely make a note, Gabby, to make sure, like, if we're using those same terms that we know our clients struggle with, to just add them inside of our decks.
Okay, yeah, because she'll be fussing at me and I'm like, I did it. And she's like, no, you did not.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
And they can complement each other too. So that's why I say write the post copy first, so that your caption is kind of an addition to it. It's much easier too. Like, if we gave you a bunch of posts to write captions for, you all will be perfectly fine, because you know what you're talking about. Versus a lot of times people think backwards, right? Which is kind of what Angela was alluding to.
So one example that your post copy can help with your captions too is for people who, if you have all picture posts, a lot of all picture posts, and you want to start doing like alt text in your captions and stuff, that's usually where you start writing it in the captions, and you start writing those alt texts. That's where the copy would come in, and you can start writing those in the alt text.
Any other questions before we move on here? It's okay. You can ask questions. But that was a great one. Okay. I'm going to slide that baby right on out of the way here. Okay, so there's two ways that I have successfully executed this. Now, mind you, this process is for if you are doing your own content, right? So as a solopreneur who's doing their own content, you can still outsource these pieces to whoever, but just know that these are examples that I used to use when I was doing my own content. It's been years since I've done my own content. I have been working with my team since I think like 2017, when Kiana was my content creator. So once you do really well for yourself, you should easily be able to outsource these pieces to your team, okay? So there's two ways. There's batching per theme days. And so what I used to do is I would have, let's say I want to post on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Okay, just making up some days. I would have a 2-hour, 4-hour, however long of a block at the last week of that month before, because we're doing monthly content batching. So I would have a 4-hour block on Monday, 4-hour block on Wednesday, 4-hour block on Thursday. And when I sit down for that block, I would write all the copy. And then I would create the graphics, still in that same do it all. Don't start over. Trust me, it will feel counterintuitive at first, but once you get rolling, you'll see like, oh my gosh, am I a graphic designer? You're like, it will get much, much easier because you're kind of just rolling. And then you'll write all the captions. You can do that while you're scheduling. That's what I used to do. If you want to do it separate, you can, but I used to write all the captions while I was scheduling at the same time. And then the other way is batching per task type. Oops, sorry guys. Batching per task type. So instead of having Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're going to instead just have a block to write all the copy. So this can be on day 1, you write all the copy on day 1. On day 2, you write all the copy for all 20 posts, however many times you're posting per week. You're going to write them all on day 2. You're going to create all the graphics on day 2, day 3, which is the scheduling while writing the captions. Okay, so you can split it up whichever way. I would encourage you to try both, right? On month 1. This is the way, the per theme day that worked best for me, but I wanted to give you 2 options that I've tried. They both work, but what I like is like about per theme days. Again, if you don't know what theme days is, it's a clear indicator you need to watch the first version or first part of this workshop. But essentially, when you're sitting down, say you do Monday motivational, you're going to sit down and write all the captions and design all the graphics and write the captions for each of those posts. So when you're done on Monday, all of your posts for Monday is done. And I'm pretty sure each of you can get done 4 Monday posts. It's not that hard, right? So 4 posts on a Monday using this system is going to crank right out of you, especially if you do it this way. Okay, you're going to be able to really create, you'll probably end up start working on Tuesday's posts and Wednesday's posts because it's going to flow right out of you that much faster. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions on these 2 examples, or do you have one that you want to play around with? Are these clear? Showing you these visually is very difficult. So, but if you guys need help implementation wise, you can either reach out to me directly, or say you do this and you can't figure out like what I meant by the day 1, day 2, just reach out to me, or you can ask the question now. If it feels clear now, we can move on. But I want to make sure that this is something you realize is way more possible than you think. When you sit down and actually block the time off, if you see the key indicator for both of these is block the time off to do your content, you can get it all done in a week. I promise it's not that hard. And it's not because I'm a content creator. It's not because I, do this for a living. It's literally because of the blocks, having the time on your calendar, and then using, this batching mentality where you're doing the same task over and over again that will help you do it a lot faster. Okay. So before I get into the next slide, I want to ask, what system do you guys currently use to track your content creation? Like, are you guys using Trello? Are you using, Planoly? Are you using a notepad? How do you keep track of all of the content topics or content backlog, where things are? If you don't have one, you can just say, I don't. And I'm just curious. So Quania says Trello. I use Airtable now. I use Trello. I remember that. Canva. Okay. Okay. So Marcia uses Canva. Excel calendar. I've used Trello before. Okay. Excel calendar. Interesting. Is that something you built?
Yeah, no, it's just an Excel sheet and you just do a table. It's not like a
Okay.
app or
Okay.
anything. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, oh, is that something cool? Okay. 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 Rashida doesn't. That's okay. That's okay. That's why you're here. All right. All right, beautiful. So the way that I recommend, and you guys have probably seen this before, is Trello. So I don't have a version of this of like how you can see it because we just rounded off all of our content for all of our clients. So I screenshot one of our clients. And so essentially what happens is in the beginning of the month, here, I'm actually going to pull up the board real quick. And we're running real close to time, but I will just keep this up because I have some other examples that are much more impactful for you guys. So you load all the content in here. You start working on the copy and the graphics as things are ready for review or need that peer review. If you're working with someone, you put them in this column so that they can review it. And then once everything's done, you put it in to be scheduled and you schedule it. If it's just you, then you can just simply just create the same system for yourself and remove the reviews and the to be schedules and just done is scheduled for you. Okay. So set that up. This is a system that I have developed. Marcia and her team, that was one of my maybe like 3rd clients that used it. So it's changed even a little bit, but she should recognize this a little bit. It's changed since then, but this was one of those systems that I was developing at that time. All right, so I put some hacks together for you guys to move much, much faster. And I'm going to show you some demos. So bear with me on time, guys. I want to be able to give you some resources that will help you move a lot faster. You guys can still see my whole desktop, right? I'm just going to make my deck a little smaller. Perfect. Thank you. I see the head nods. All right. So when it comes to, I'm just going to put this in front of there. Make it big. Doesn't want to listen, guys. So you need to create brand and voice guidelines. So we have for color addicts, anyone that designs anything for my brand, we have a big old like folder that we throw everything in. It's a Trello card. You should know everything's probably a Trello card with me, but essentially, I don't know why it's loading like that. It has everything in it. It has all our logos, our colors. Our brand voice document is in here. Thank you, Gabby. It's got our fonts in here. It's also, everyone needs to do this. approved color combos, because sometimes the way that your brand colors interacts with each other, sometimes it looks a little pukey. Let's not do that anymore. Let's do a approved color combo. Say these are the colors we want to see together. Don't do it if not. All kinds of stuff is in here. Also, other graphics and stuff are in here, just to give someone, a potential designer or yourself, some guidelines on what it looks like when you're designing, right? So there's all kinds of stuff in here. We throw things in here, but this is a good place for someone to get a feel for how you look and sound, okay? So that's your brand. You want to create something like that. There's, of course, pretty ones. Everyone has brand guidelines, the prettier version that spells it out. I find that those are great. But this is a lot better, right? If they can see how you interact, see current posts, see other templates and stuff you have, they can design a lot better for you. The other thing is creating some branded templates for yourself. So we don't use templates on my team. However, I create very often my own templates. So this is like our template that we created in Canva for our social media. You've seen this before if you follow us on Instagram. This is kind of how that looks. So this was when I was in the midst of creating like what these things should look and sound like. It's changed slightly since, so you might see small differences, but for the most part, create yourself some templates and how things should look, right? So then when someone's designing for you, right? So we've got like how we use colors and use contrast and this, they're able to just pick this up and go, make a copy of it, fill it in, go. You can see how this will be a lot faster than kind of creating things over and over and over again. So create yourself some templates or use some templates too. That's cool too. I'm never going to tell someone not to use templates. Just make sure they're for you. So creating hashtag templates and formulas. So there are a couple things you can do. So Gabby's going to put a couple links in the chat about how to create a formula first and foremost, but a hashtag template, you want to come up with at least 5. All they are is hashtag groupings, right? So a group of anywhere from 5 to 30 hashtags that you're going to put on different posts. You don't want to use the same group over and over again. You want to cycle through these and refresh these monthly at a minimum. But these templates will help that whole like, what hashtags do I use process when you're actually trying to schedule and batch things out. Okay, so come up with at least 5. She's got resources for you in the chat. Marcia asks, is that like evergreen? Is what evergreen?
So like when you said create templates, is that like creating evergreen content? That's the word that I keep hearing thrown around.
Oh, not exactly. So the templates are more like reusable. So evergreen content is like content that doesn't change over time. Like an example of evergreen content would be like maybe you have like a workshop that's pre-recorded and it's pre-recorded in a way where people can consume it at any time, right? Or like, for example, a piece of evergreen content we're working on for Kelly, I call it a nurture series email. So it's an email that doesn't have any time in it, where people can get it 10 years from now, or they can get it right now and it's still relevant. So this is more like creating a template for yourself. So think of this as like going into Canva, if Canva had your own brand as a template, right? So this is basically creating these, but for your brand and what you want people on your team to use.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I love Copy AI. I didn't even get there yet. Why y'all reading ahead? Just kidding. So Gabby's gonna throw a link in there for Copy AI. It's essentially a intelligent copywriter or artificial intelligent copywriter, and it's really, really good. I know Angela uses it. We use it sometimes on my team. It's really good to help get your juices flowing when it comes to like writing and get you out of that creative block. Sorry. You're good. The next one, I'm just checking for questions. Oh, I love an SOP. Okay, and then using a scheduler. So using Sched or Later, Planoly, whatever you use, Sched and Later are the ones that I recommend for different reasons we can talk about. But those are the 2 that I recommend. Sched, if you're looking for more like a free one that's inexpensive, Later, if you're looking to do the thing, and do it well, it is Sched for multiple reasons. One, they do carousel posts, and they also post from cell phones, which doesn't flag Instagram It's a whole slew of reasons. That's why I picked Sked. Sked is actually a tool that came out of me doing like a tool comparison. It took me like 3 months to find Sked. And I tested so many different ones. I can't remember now because it's been years, but it's a pretty good one. I also wanted to leave you with some carousel tips. Your first slide, when it comes to generating that first one, if you're doing carousels, please play around with them. They help with your engagement. If you're doing carousels, that first one, that first line has to be great. So if you notice in my example before, I said making a workshop better, and I said why your workshop sucks, you're most likely going to click that one versus like, here's how to make your workshop better, you know? So try to figure out headlines that make people like, oh, you know, I want to click that. I want to see what she's talking about. And I have a headline generator that you guys can use. It's free. I didn't create it or anything. I send it to all my clients. It's great to get, again, the juices flowing. The last slide always needs to have a call to action and then build up between the two to the end. You want to make sure that, ask yourself at every stage, are you ready to swipe for more, right? Make them like leaving wanting a little bit more throughout the whole post. If you don't know what carousels are, these are carousels. I just want to throw a slide in there to say that these are the carousels that I'm speaking about. As always, the ugly truth about content creation is that people almost always fail at execution. So reminder, we have another training coming up on analyzing your results and building a strategy based off of those results. But let's say you can't do this. You can be like Aquania, who's an A+ student, got all the things, and be one of our marketing clients. We do have a couple spots open. We have a promo code you can use at checkout. So feel free to screenshot that. And we're going to head into questions. We'll hang out here for about another 10 minutes or so for any questions that anyone has. Thanks again for sticking with me to the end. Yes, the headline generator is great. Angela says, now this I need. It's great. It's really good. Does anyone have any questions?
I did.
Okay.
Now I lost it. Hold on.
It's okay. It'll come back.
Come back.
It'll be there.
Oh, you said Sked. So is it just SHED.com or net or?
Yes. Gabby, can you throw that in the chat? I don't see that one in there. It's SKED, social.
Awesome. Thank you.
I just threw it in.
Thank you very much.
Does anyone else have any questions? I'm going to see all of you guys posting content effortlessly real soon on your timelines. We're not just consuming information, but actually executing, right? Right?
I do have another question.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Being, you know, it's been, like I said, crazy at the beginning. So here we are at the end of the month, and I haven't done anything for next month. So, like, not to make myself have anxiety, like once a week until I can get to every other month, or, you know, does that make sense? Because sometimes it just seems overwhelming.
Yes, Gabby. So we should either do like a live on this, because Aquania was here before too with like post. Aquania's got like a sick strategy. What do you post like 5 times a week, I think. And so
I do post a lot, but I'm on a reel streak. I'm testing it out and it's working.
Mhm.
I've started out with 2 reels a day 14 days ago, somewhere between 7 to 10 days ago, somewhere around there. And then only one day this week did I skip and only posted 1 reel, but I'm changing the reel content to include educational, fun, and personal. And then I'm letting you guys do the carousels and the like standard content. I don't know how to define it, but that's helping a lot.
we call it static, by the way.
Static content. There you
go. So 2 things I want to mention on that. One, we should do a real challenge in the group. That would be fun. But also to answer Marcia's question, there are strategies you can use to stop making you feel so overwhelmed. One is a recycle strategy. You have content all the way at the bottom of your social media. You also have a whole bunch of content we did for you, you know, years ago. Yes, post that stuff, update it, you know, post that stuff. You can, if you feel comfortable, you definitely can do once a week. I just recommend you focus more on consistency than frequency.
Okay.
sure you heard me say that. So don't put pressure on yourself, but there are ways that you can use like holidays, for example, to help get that boost of content. We have, our content planner, or not content planner, our content calendar that we have like the hashtags. You can use those and just create some quick things. Quotes is a really easy thing. I say this to say that I know some people feel guilty about not posting as much. And so there's a way to post the same amount, but not have it suck you dry, is what I'm trying to say. So using things like quotes, stats is the one that I don't see a lot of people do. We use in our strategy as well as our client strategy. To say, for example, Marcia, you have a great industry for stats, right? And we talked about this in your content plan when we worked together about kind of introducing a little bit of fear, right? So using those stats to say, like, did you know, every 1 out of 10 girls are, approached on the way to their car in college or something like that, using that, whatever the actual stat is, but using those stats could be a really easy way to give you some room, much easier to create than these longer carousels and these longer form, educational type of content. Or post pictures of yourself too. We call those branded photos, where you just like introduce your team. Don't think that I think a big misconception a lot of us have as business owners is that every single follower has seen every piece of your content, which is the furthest thing from the truth. So you can go back down, you can even post stuff for like a month ago, and there are going to be people who, one, they're not going to remember you posted it. You've never seen something on your timeline like, did she already post this? She has. She posted it like 2 years ago. Yeah, she has. So they're not remembering it just feels like it's big to you and that it's recent to you, but just use some of that old stuff, recycle it.
And I gotta chime in on the content and the stats part. I mean, on the quotes and the stats part. Fortunately, I have a father who is a quote machine. And so I have in my Trello on my content board, I have a running list. So whenever I hear something, see something, think of something, I throw it in Trello. And I actually added Trello app to my phone because I usually come up with these while I'm sitting in traffic, while I'm in the car, for whatever reason, I come up with quotes. But my point is, quotes save my life because you can, number one, as Chryssy says, they're recyclable. Tweak a word, tweak the tense, past tense versus current tense. Tweak the pronoun in the quote, she, them, they, him, her, us. And I use quotes for filler, and if you really were to scrutinize my feed, you could tell when I'm slacking, when I'm away, because it'll be quote heavy, right? And I fortunately, again, like I said, I have a lot of quotes. But Chryssy is so right, and stats are huge. It's funny that you mentioned that because Portia and I were talking about that last week. Like, we got to get more number. I'm a numbers and a stats person. So, and I use them all the time. And she was like, we need to talk the way you talk. You always throwing numbers out. So we're actually gonna start doing that more. So I hope that helps. And what I did to get my feed going was, like, I think the first several months were just quotes. So I hope that helps.
And just in case anyone's thinking, like, is that like a lazy way of like content strategy? No, because quotes help with brand recognition. If I know how you speak, if I know what you align by, typically quotes tell you a lot about the brand. I just looked up, right? And behind my monitor, I have some quotes actually, or some things that, are important to me. And one of them says, I walk in the garden of possibilities. And so if I was to post that on my timeline, you now know what I stand by. You know what it means. I have a very abundant mindset, right? So quotes help with brand recognition, help people kind of know what it is they're following, what they stand by. It's definitely not like a passive strategy whatsoever. There's also Instagram pages full of quotes, right? You can look up like $1 billion businessman or something like that, and it'll be a bunch of pages and all they do is post quotes because people need that.
So I have one other question and I'll let you go.
You're good. Ask away.
I will definitely look at part 1 so I can catch myself up. But I know that consistency is key. What is your recommendation for the number of times a day? Because I keep hearing like at minimum 3, 10, like because the algorithm and like you said, you think people seen your stuff and they haven't. I feel like I'm just yelling into the abyss, right?
Yeah. So a lot of people, that's like probably the number one question I get anytime I talk about social media. I was telling Gabby today, I can't wait till this series is over. I'm tired of talking about social media. It's the number one question I get whenever I open my mouth about social media. And the truth is, all those people don't know. No one truly knows, because Instagram, if they would release that kind of information, there'd be like people at the top straight gamifying it, right? Mm-hmm. What it's more about is quality content, right? How people engage with your content. And then also, again, consistency, right? Making sure that, I like to explain, once you start thinking of Instagram like a business, it becomes very clear what you should and should not do on the platform. All right. So say I'm Instagram, my name is Instagram, and I want to refer all of you. Am I going to refer you to, Gabby, who posts every now and then? I'm not sure when she's on or not, sometimes. Or I'm going to refer you to someone like Quania, who's posting consistently, has a schedule. Clearly, she's going to show up every day. And let me explain that a little bit further. Instagram makes their money by people on their platform. Right? So the more you post, the more consistent you are. Less about frequency. Again, the more consistent you are in posting, the more reliable you are as someone who will keep this person engaged. Again, engagement, the more people I'll send to you. Okay. Right? Because they're getting paid off of what? Advertisements, not your post. So the longer someone's engaging on Instagram, scroll, they're seeing ads and they're getting paid by those ads. So if you make Instagram rich, you're going to make yourself rich naturally, right? You're going to make, I won't even say rich, because content doesn't always equal to sales. And that's a whole other thing. We did a sales workshop last week. Okay. If you're interested in that, put a message in the chat. But it's, if you're trying to get a community, whatever your social media goals are, they're all different types: brand awareness, brand recognition, all the things, right? But if you're trying to get a community behind you, you're trying to increase your engagement, increase your lead generation, whatever it is, the goal is to think about Instagram again as a business. If you make Instagram happy, Instagram's going to make you happy. It's going to send people to you. You're going to be like, where'd this random person come from? Mm-hmm. So again, focus on engaging, like I call it a HPC, high performing content, which is things that people want to save. Right? Look at your content right now and ask yourself, does someone want to save this? Right. Is someone interested in sharing this with a friend? Can someone respond and ask a question to this or leave their little 2 cents? That's the stuff that Instagram wants to see on their platform, because you're now keeping people on their platform. You're not only, because think about it, if I share something, say for example, one of you share something to my Instagram right now, I'm going to get a notification. It's going to bring me on the platform. Instagram wants shares. Instagram wants saves. Instagram wants, because it knows that you're going to come back later for that stuff. So start thinking about them as a business, and all of these questions kind of start to answer themselves.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? It's okay if you have questions, no rush at all. Rashida, you're real quiet. Rashida, you at work? You're super quiet. Welcome, by the way.
Okay, I do have another question.
Okay. No, go ahead, Marcia, because the thing is, they have questions too. What I've learned about most of my clients is that the questions are always the same and consistent amongst us, but we just either don't know we have them or we don't want to say them, because either we're afraid of keeping me longer or afraid of looking dumb. So feel free to ask away.
I'm the question queen, honestly. So here's the thing, we have not been posting consistently. And so what I get is when I do post a bunch of what seems like bots. So once you start posting consistently, then you'll be able to get more engagement. So then those bots will go away. Like the way you explained, like you being a business makes perfect sense. It helps me kind of like visualize what I need to do.
Mm-hmm. So when you get bots, it could be a couple of different reasons. Could be a hashtag you're using. It could be, is anyone else maintaining your page?
So no, not right now. Like we are in like transition of things. So it's just like periodically we're posting, and because this event is going on, I've been mostly focused on that. So, but I think you're right about the hashtags, because when I post like Black business, then somebody says posts, promote on this page. So
yeah, everyone's like, yep. Here's a trick for you, okay? And this is a mindset shift that I know I had to teach my team as well. One, it still counts as engagement. Respond, okay? Heart it. Thanks so much. Will do. Because Instagram is not reading every single message, right? Instagram doesn't know that that's a bot. I mean, it knows it's a bot because it can watch their behavior, but it doesn't, when it's looking at your engagement, like how many comments per post and all that stuff, just respond, have a whole conversation with a bot. It's okay.
right.
It's okay. You know?
Yo, that changed my life.
Have a whole
Like,
conversation.
stop deleting them. Just engage. I was
I've
like,
been
really?
deleting them. I feel so stupid now.
And it's helping my reach, I think, because more eyes get on it. And
Mhm.
I'll be like, sure, I'll do that, or sounds great. Thanks so much. I
Every
appreciate you.
time they
for
do it, every
considering
time I
me.
see that, I just post my website. So
Mm.
so they're like, promote on this one. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, if you buy something, then I'll promote. So I'm gonna give you my website.
I might use that too. I switch it up. Sometimes I ask questions. Another thing somebody has suggested was when someone makes a comment, instead of saying thanks, ask a follow-up question. And it's been working, because I put out 5 fun facts about me, and one of them was like, went on my first international school trip in 7th grade, but I didn't say where. So then somebody was like, where'd you go? So then I was like, Spain. And I was like, where'd you go? And then we had a whole 4 more comments on
You know
this.
what?
one
I
thing.
need to get with that, because I respond to everybody, or either me or my admin. She leaves the more detailed stuff to me, but the promote on it, I didn't think about that, because I just ignore them.
Yeah, Chryssy gave me that idea. So I started engaging with them, but with real
Hold now,
followers,
Chryssy,
I
hold
try to
now,
spark a
yeah.
conversation. Yeah,
So-
I spark a conversation and ask follow-up questions with actual followers that engage with my content.
And I like Marcia's idea about the comments that where it's, promote on, such and such, and you're like, sure, but go to my site and buy some. I like that idea. I like that idea a
If
lot.
somebody else is actually looking, they'll see the website, right? So that was my thought process. But is it Aquiliana?
Aquania.
Yeah.
Ooh, I really
That's
messed
okay,
that up. I
girl. It
apologize.
happens a lot.
But can you put in the chat like your Instagram so that I can come and follow
Yeah, I
you?
was gonna say everybody put everybody's Instagram in.
Yeah, that's a good
Not a
idea.
problem.
Let's definitely connect. One thing I want to note on the engagement, right, and why it works. There's different types of engagement, and maybe I'll do I don't know if I'm gonna do a workshop on it, because again, I'm tired of talking about social media, y'all. But maybe I'll do like a video or some like mini course on it. There's so many types of engagement. So even Aquania doesn't have all the juice, right? So there's follower engagement. We teach, so we have an engagement package, right? And we teach our social media engagers. They don't even know when they first come on our team. There's so many different types of engagement. The one thing to take away is be a person, be a human being. That's a person that you're acknowledging. They took time out of their day to leave a comment on your post. Take time to talk to them, right? If you really I think the biggest disconnect that I see that is actually quite frustrating for me as a brand strategist is that my clients ignore their current audience. They're so busy trying to chase new people. I need more followers, more clients, more subscribers. They completely disregard and neglect their current people who are actually tuned in and paying attention to everything they do. Right? So if someone posts and says, oh, this was great info, a lot of us assume that it's a person that's like, just hurry up, engaging real quick. But that might be a real person saying, wow, this was great, I learned something. So respond and say, great, what did you learn? Or do you have anything to add? That's an engaging comment, right? That's a thoughtful comment. So there are everybody's Instagram is in the chat. I'll make sure we share the chat too when we post it. But definitely just start operating your business like a human being, especially the online piece. The online piece, we try to automate a lot, right? And sometimes that makes us very cold. I even get all the time, because I talk about automations and stuff, and I preach this stuff. People think a lot of times that I am an automation, which is not fair to me. I've literally gotten clients like, oh, I think this was automated. Haha. Like, no, actually, this was me sending you a message. I had a client tell me the other day, like, oh, how do I unsubscribe? I'm like, this is me. I'm actually checking in on you. This is not a mass email. So let's all act like human beings, please. That's the personal side of us. That's the part that makes us great. We can automate a lot of things, but thank you, Gabby. She put ours in there. Thank you so much. Go ahead, drop Boss Bitch in there too. You guys follow all the accounts.
But the thing too, like you were saying, Chryssy, is that social media is social. Like we get so used to just and there's a balance that we need to have, because people buy stuff from people they like and trust. And if we're not actually communicating with them, then they don't understand. And for me, my team it's a little bit, for those of you who don't know, I sell self-defense weapons. And so I'm in business with my daughters. And so we've had struggles trying to figure out what our business voice is, because each of us has got such a different voice. And then we are trying to like compact it. And I'm like, can I cuss? And then my daughter's like, no, I don't think we should cuss, but I cuss, damn it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. You guys definitely need to have like some
in the background.
Yeah, no, I mean, I swear in my brain, I mean, we do. I mean, it's there's no right or wrong. I would just.
No, you don't. Do you really? No.
That's sarcasm. I almost didn't catch it. I almost didn't catch it.
But seriously, I don't think I've ever. I know you and us to, when it's just us, but I don't think
Gabby,
I don't think I've ever seen you.
We don't like say like FUCK, but we'll put the star there, like, or we'll say I mean, I'm not writing the copy nowhere near as much as I used to, and so Gabby probably doesn't, but I'm doing some content review with Gabby today. Look, she's laughing. We're gonna fix a few things. I'm not sure, but I used to. I say that. But having some
I'll just throw ass in there a few more times.
Yeah, ass. I like that song.
The thing is, like, I'm trying to tell you how to be safe, and you can't always be safe. There's certain words that have more power behind them, right? And so if you're trying to be powerful and being impactful and make sure that you are protecting your own life, it's not going to be, oh, fire truck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just depends on your audience too. Like if you're, I'm almost hesitant to say that because I know some of you will be like, oh, my audience, they won't like the cuss words. Like at the end of the day, it's also authentic to you as a brand, but then also your audience, if you feel like they will receive it well, do it. Unless you are have some religious things tied to you as a brand, I don't see anything wrong with it. And even if you did, if that's what you want to do, you're going to attract the people who are like, yeah, I'm religious and I cuss. At the end of the day, it's all about who they are, right? And people will align with who you are by knowing who they are and seeing themselves in you.
Your people will find you, based on who you are and what matters.
Exactly.
Thank you, Chryssy. This has been so helpful. I love seeing your face. I'll be in touch.
No problem. I'll see you guys next month for the workshop.
Yes.
Part 3, analyze and build a strategy off of what you see. So this is the important part. Hopefully, if I had my theory, most will come to the first part because it's all about content planning. Everybody thinks they need a plan. And then a lot will come to the second part, which is creation, execution. You would think everybody would want to go there because it's the one thing people don't do. But if I am going to guess or have a less of a turnout for the analyze part, because they're like, I don't need to analyze anything, when it's literally the number one thing you need to do.
Right. Because if it doesn't work, you got to change it.
Exactly. Because you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
I'll be traveling that day, so I may or may not make it, but it is not because I don't care.
Okay, no problem. We'll have the recording up regardless, but that's just what I've seen. Been doing this for a while now.
All right. Thank you. I got to get out of here.
No problem, guys. Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much. I'm gonna stop.